Hello, this is Head to Head, and I'm Oles Garjuk with UATV. Ukraine won't pay a penny for its athletes to participate in sports competitions held in Russia. This is the latest statement of the Ministry of Youth and Sports of Ukraine. Russian propaganda was fast to respond with a bit odd interpretation of the events. To explain us what is actually going on, we welcome to the studio Pavlo Bulgak, advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sports of Ukraine. Hello, and thank you for being with us today.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
So, Mr. Bulgak, probably it's worth reminding to our audience that in March, Ukraine decided to forbid its athletes to participate in any sports events held in Russia. Later on, this prohibition was softened, and now the state refused to finance such trips. So, Russian media say this is due to a strong pressure by International Olympic Committee. What are your comments on this?
We also saw these Russian propaganda statements, and this is clear manipulations. And we wish to emphasize that there were no pressure or no dictatorship due to Ukraine position from IOC. We should explain that there were some consultations, negotiations with International Olympic Committee, and after this consultation we softened our order that was signed by Minister. And anyway, our position is clear. We will not spend any hryvnia for the trips of our sportsmen to Russia. But it's true that there is an Olympic charter, there is a sportsmanship rights, and they can go to any country they wish by themselves, by their own responsibility and by their own cost. So we cannot physically ban their trips to Russia, but we restrict the financiation of these trips, and will not finance any trips of our sportsmen to the international competitions which are held in Russia.
Just to make it clear, what were the real reasons to soften the decision? You mentioned the consultations with the IOC?
Yes, the consultation with International Olympic Committee, and they told us that, as I said before, that we should guarantee the rights of sportsmen to visit any country, any competition which they want by themselves. But Thomas Bach recognized our own sovereign right not to finance these trips by government, by taxpayers.
So basically, this is the official position of the International Olympic Committee, that they recognize our right?
Yes, they recognized our right not to finance these trips by state government. And this is our strong position, and we will continue to support this position.
Well, just to remind our audience that this summer the World Football Championship will be held across 11 cities in the aggressor state Russia, and the President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, in his interview to the German magazine Focus, gave an evaluation of this event. Quote, "This is purely a propaganda tool to whitewash Russia's tainted reputation. It's all about geopolitics. Everyone should decide for himself whether to go there or not." So, what's the reaction of Ukrainian athletes? What are your observations?
We saw a great support from the majority of Ukrainian sportsmanship and coaches. We have conversations with them and variety of talks, and we also saw the public support of our order, for example, from one of the best biathlon sportsman, Dmitro Pedruchny. He publicly supported our decision to ban competitions in Russia, and I think that in time we will have more and more support of this position, because we cannot have double standards in this situation. Russia occupied Crimea, Russia attacked Ukraine, and after the signing of law about the occupation of Donbass, Russia was officially by law named the country that is aggressor and which is occupant of our territory. That's why we cannot continue to support double standards in sports also. So the state position is clear. Any competitions in Russia and any visiting from our coaches and our sportsmen to Russia.
What about the reaction of our football teams and football federation?
I don't know the reaction of Football Federation, because Football Federation of Ukraine is independent federation, and it's up to them to decide
whether to send
some fans, some players to the Russia or not to send. I can say, and the position of ministry and our minister Igor Zhdanov is clear, and he was talking about this to mass media. We do not recommend anyone to visit Russia these days, because whether you fan, whether you coach, whether you sportsman, you can be provoked by special services of Russia, you can be arrested, you can be named terrorist or extremist by Russian forces, internal forces. So it's very dangerous in the state of war between Russia and Ukraine to visit this country. And we saw a lot of people which were kidnapped by Russian special forces, and they are illegally
detained over there, and sentenced.
Yes, I know that almost 50 Ukrainian prisoners are detained nowadays in different Russian cities.
So, yeah, and also a huge number of political prisoners. But in your opinion, will this stop Ukrainian fans from actually traveling to Russia?
I think that the majority of Ukrainian fans, especially football fans, are great patriots of their countries, and we saw their patriotic position on the Revolution of Dignity, on the Maidan Square. A lot of fans goes to anti-terroristic operation, and they went to the Ukrainian armed forces to service there and to defend their country. So I think that majority of fans will not visit Russia.
Well, then patriotism will be stronger than fanatism.
I think that.
Okay. Well, and since we started talking about football, let's talk a bit about UEFA Champions League final, which will be held in Kiev in the end of this month of May. Are there any estimations regarding the number of fans coming to Kiev from abroad?
I want to say that there was some organizing committee later, and we saw the strong message from UEFA representative that Kiev is ready to host this great football and sport event. So, and I want to emphasize that our main stadium, NSK Olimpijski, also is ready to host this great football match, and I think we will be proud of this sport event in Ukraine. So we saw some problems with prices for the accommodations in Kiev, but
they got extremely increased? Yes,
they extremely increased, but we should know that UEFA reserved a lot of places in hotels for fans that will visit Ukraine these days, and there is no such big problem. And it's also a tradition for another countries. When such events are hosted, their prices rising always. So yes, it's economy, nothing but else.
In your opinion, do we expect a lot of people to come from Russia?
I don't think that a lot of people will came from Russia, because the state position is very clear and strict. We will not accept people from Russia that violated our rules, our laws, and especially such people that visited illegally our Crimea. So a lot of, and we have a history of last year championships. There was championships, European championships in boxing, which was held in Kharkiv, and our servicemen blocked a lot of Russian sportsmen and Russian fans on cause that they were visiting occupied Crimea illegally. So if some Russian or Austrian or Spain or Italian fans are not violating our rules, our laws, they are welcome in Ukraine. But if they are violating our rules, especially if they are visiting occupied Crimea by illegal means, so they will be banned from Ukraine.
From Ukraine. Well, in case of any provocations, are there any security measures prepared for the UEFA Champions League final?
Yes, the security factor is the main factor, and I think that our special servicemen, special forces, our police and other institutions understand that this is very important question.
And they will allocate extra units.
Yes,
to
I think
patrol the city.
they will make everything from there.
Well,
yes.
And the last question: what other sports events Ukraine will host in the nearest future?
There is our strategy, the strategy of our minister, to host more and more international competitions in Ukraine. It's very important for us, especially to popularize our country and to give a world a strong message that Ukraine is an independent country, that Ukraine is struggling with Russia occupation, Russia aggression, but we are a peaceful country and we are open to European countries. So we already hosted European Hockey Championship between juniors. These days we were hosting kickboxing World Championship in Kiev, and I should say that this year we will see more and more international competitions in Ukraine, and everyone are welcome to visit this competition.
Do you have anything, any of them in mind in particular to advertise to our audience?
To advertise, let me...
The plan for 2018.
Yes, we will have, for example, we will have World Championships in Strongman, and it will be hosted in Hust, Zakarpattia, so everyone is welcome to... we had already championship in Chernivtsi. It's motorcycle sport, so it's there will be a great amount of international competitions in Ukraine this year.
Well, exciting, and thank you so much then for this great comments and for this conversation.
Thank you very much.
That was Pavlo Bulgak, advisor to Ukraine's Minister of Youth and Sports. Thank you for watching Head to Head, and stay tuned with UATV.